Morning, guys, and welcome to our webinar this morning. We're really excited to be chatting to you today. We're talking about momentum and how, as agency owners, we can hold ourselves accountable. It's a problem that we've chatted to some agency owners about, and it's something that we are trying to help solve at the Agency Collective. So I am here today with my superstar colleague, Anne.
Superstar, yeah.
And we've got two awesome guests. So,
yeah, for those of you who don't know us, we're the Agency Collective. We're the largest community of agency owners in the UK. We provide education, support, and everything you need to help you run a better agency. We ask you to always be mindful of our values, which are be transparent, be caring, and be giving.
Awesome. Okie doke. So we're going to be talking about momentum groups, how accountability and peer support can help, and what they're all about. But for now, what we want to do is just start off with a talking about a poll. So we're going to ask you guys, our audience, do you have problems holding yourself accountable? We're going to launch a poll now.
We are indeed. Bear with me. There we go. Launching.
So, is it yes all the time? Is it sometimes with certain projects or tasks? Or is it nope, not at all? I mean, I work from home, so I definitely have some times where I find I get distracted by the cat, by,
washing.
Yeah, washing, or sometimes I'm just daunted by like a specific task
Massively.
that we've got to get on with, and I know that it's so big that I'd rather do all the tiny weeny little tasks around it rather than like
absolutely, and we
tackle the big frog. What is it, eating frogs?
It's eat that frog.
Eat that frog. Yeah.
So we definitely, when you're working from home, it can be everything little is the little things that can keep you going, but the big things are what's going to make the biggest impact.
Yeah, definitely.
So are we ready to look at the poll?
Yeah.
Cool. So let's share those results.
So yes, was it 13% was yes all the time? I feel your guys' pain.
Yeah.
76 is sometimes with certain projects.
Yeah.
And 13% are no, not at all. You're lucky buggers.
Yeah.
You need to let us know your secrets there,
yeah. I think I definitely fall into the 75%.
Yeah, with certain projects.
Yeah. So.
Defo. So today we are super lucky. We are joined by two of our fabulous members, Andy from Web and Kaylee from Seeker Digital. Hi guys.
Good morning.
Hello. Morning.
Thanks so much for joining. Of that poll, whereabouts would you guys sit, do you reckon?
I think I'm definitely on the 75%. I mean, sometimes I have awesome days, I'm so accountable, and other days I feel like I get nothing done and I'm just sort of hiding from my own to-do list and hiding from myself. So definitely fit in with there.
I feel you. How about you, Andy?
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm in that middle band in the 75%. It's something I'm really trying hard to get to grips with at the moment. So I think I've moved into that bracket now.
Awesome. Well done, guys. Andy, can you just tell us a bit about you guys, Web, and your sort of story?
Yeah. Well, we're quite an old company. We're 23 years old, and we started in 1995. And primarily we were design and development, and in those days it was a lot of software engineering that's going on in the background with most of the stuff we were doing. We develop on a platform C#.net. We were working largely with tourist boards, so Visit Scotland, Visit Britain, and we kind of changed to moved into systems integration, and we've recently gone through a repositioning at the moment based more on conversion. So that's the sort of our little story.
You've been a long time, but you're still sort of fluid, you're still changing and you're still evolving.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's something that's critical for any agency. If you stay the same, you won't be in business this time in three years' time. It really is. You've got to think on your feet, I think.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
Okay. Cheers, Mandy.
Yeah.
Kaylee, give us a bit of background to Seeker.
Yeah, so Seeker Digital has been going for around 3 years, and there's 13 of us now. So it's been a huge sort of growth, and I think that accountability has been one of the themes of exploring that, being accountable to yourself, to the team, and we kind of specialize in outreach and digital PR, and specifically the verticals we like to work in are SaaS and e-commerce. So we very much focus on kind of digital first brands. We work a lot with brands over the pond in America. So yeah, it's been a really awesome journey. And I definitely echo Andy's words about positioning being so important, constantly growing and evolving. In our space, it's like, you can be irrelevant in a week. So you have to constantly keep things moving.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.
So just talking about the subject here. So why is accountability important as an agency owner? I mean, for you guys, are you co-founders? Are you sole owners of your agency?
So I'm a co-founder, and I'm quite lucky that my co-founder, Gareth Simpson, has a really good profile in the SEO industry.
Right.
So we get to kind of get a lot of inquiries and speaking gigs through him. But I think you have to be accountable to a lot of people when you're an agency owner. Yourself, finances, the team, your co-founders, your board. I do think it is really, really important, and actually I think it's very important from a morale perspective. I think if you're not being accountable, you're likely to get more stressed and not feel good about what you're doing. So for me, I think it's really about sort of keeping the energy levels. And as a leader, you have to lead from the front, and you have to sort of really set an awesome example for the team.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
That's really interesting, actually. So you feel the sort of pressure on you to remain accountable is also because you want to provide an example.
Yeah, I think so, because a big part of our kind of brand values is all about, delivery. We have kind of a very like no BS approach, being accountable to clients and stuff. So yeah, I do think it is about setting that example and really like not breaking your promises. That's what it comes down to. If you say you're going to do something or you promise something, you try to do it. And if there's a legitimate reason, you explain and apologize, but you don't want to be that person who's constantly like, oh, sorry, haven't done this yet, etc.
Yeah. In terms of sort of project delivery and client delivery.
Yeah, and just anything. I mean, internally as well, if you promise the staff or something that there's going to be some, new feature or something coming out, I mean, you have to constantly be accountable, I think, in micro tasks and also then in the larger stuff.
Yeah,
very, very true.
How about you, Andy?
I completely agree with that. I think I think it's even harder. So I'm the only founder. There's only me, and sort of running this, and there is quite a lot of pressure. You've got to set the pace. I think you've got to set the whole tone for the organisation, and the accountability is so important. I do find myself apologising occasionally, saying, "Look, I haven't done this yet." Some things I get caught up with, and it's potentially quite damaging if that's the case. So you've got to be, you've got to have the mindset of, would I employ me if I was the boss? That's the way I view it. So yeah, there's potentially quite a lot of pressure on yourself there, but there needn't be.
but would you employ yourself though, Andy?
Yeah, I would. I think I'm quite good.
Nice.
I know exactly what I'm good at. I'm very good at the ideas and thinking. The detail is something I'm not very good at, and I recognise that quite early on. So I surround myself with people who can do the things that I can't do.
I'm exactly. I'm really good at all the big ideas, but yeah, the little details are quite difficult because they're the most important bits.
I think I'm not so great with the good ideas, but like if I do it, I just try and smash through all of my tasks and get them done in one chunk.
Right.
See, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm an executor as well. Not so good with the ideas, not even that good with detail, but I just get stuff done. So
yeah, I need to be more like that.
You can go the other way though, can't you? You can take too much on.
Yeah.
Because you want to be, you know, accountable and get things done, and then take too much on, and then you're kind of
nothing gets
done.
done.
Then you're kind of stuck that way as well. So we're just going to ask the audience here: do you guys have problems with holding yourself accountable? We'll launch that poll.
Cool.
So, is it timekeeping is my downfall?
I sometimes struggle with deadlines. I run a military style operation.
I love that military style operation.
Timekeeping is my downfall.
Me too. I'm late for everything. I don't mean to be.
Oh, I'm never late for anything. I'm just late for deadlines.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, how about you guys? Where do you guys sit?
I think it depends on the day. I'm sometimes sometimes I even impress myself, you know, I have a really productive day, and then other days I feel like I literally like can't do anything, and I'm just stuck in this kind of quagmire of tasks. So I think it's probably the sometimes struggling with deadlines. And for me, I definitely see the eat the frog mentality. If something's stressing me out, I will just push it and push it and push it to the bottom of my to-do list and just invent lots of meta work just to avoid doing that task. So I think for me, it's kind of psychological as well, really, and it's related to stress. And you kind of feel like, oh, I have to wait for the perfect time to do this task. You know, I have to have the perfect room, the perfect mentality, but actually, it's not going to happen. Just get on with it.
That is so true. I'm exactly the same. It would be like, yeah, I just need the perfect time. Everything needs to be perfect. When
the birds need to be singing.
Exactly.
I need to light some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have aspirations for the military style operation, but in reality, I sometimes struggle as well. You know, sometimes when you think you're on top of it, but you get a lot of client requests, and that's where things can go awry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, the poll's finished. Let's have a quick look at the results.
Yeah.
So quite even. Other than I'm quite jealous of the 25% that run a.
I know.
Me too.
28% timekeeping is my downfall, though.
Yeah.
Guys, I feel you.
Yeah,
I feel you.
Well, I think I sit with the 1 and 2 definitely.
Yeah. Amazing.
I do agree with the military style, though. Like we always say in our agency, project management, the best agencies we've seen are awesome at project management, and that's probably very true of you guys, Andy, with doing sort of development work. If you can nail project management and internal resource management, and you've got a good utilization rate, like you're flying, I do think that is a key to success and something that's not always talked about. It's a less sexy side, but it is really, really important to have good project management, good processes. I mean, I'm not that way oriented naturally, but I do definitely recognize its importance.
So as an agency owner then, what's sort of the key to that? Is that about changing yourself and the way that you work and operate to run that military style operation, or is it about hiring project managers? What's the solution to getting to that?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. I think being organized is so important, and there are certainly software tools out there that can help you do that. I started with myself a while ago when I realized that it was one of our weaker areas, and I came up with a weekly blueprint of what I should be doing each week, and that breaks down into a daily operation. So when I come in first thing in the morning, the first 2 hours are spent looking at sales and marketing, and then I do project work, and then I do emails, and then I do so the day is broken down, and that sort of discipline it helps an awful lot with the rest. That's got all sorts of spin-offs which are very useful. So I think that's a good starting point, is be organized yourself, and that sort of ripples out to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think hiring people is key though as well. Like what you said earlier, Andy, about recognizing what you're not good at, and then finding people who are good at that. And then we work a lot in the cloud, so everything's like super transparent. Like there's like an internal database, everything can be passed on. The idea is that no one is kind of sitting on information or projects or tasks. And I think that's been really key.
Hard for smaller agencies, though, I suppose, when you really are wearing all of the hats.
Yeah. Well,
you need to get to a certain level before then you can start the hiring and the delegation.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, just start with some.
So that's why I need to have all these different roles I'm fulfilling. But it keeps the day interesting.
It doesn't keep.
Yeah.
It's never a boring day.
So, do you think you guys have problem with time management? We've just asked that one, haven't we?
Yeah, that was. But do you guys, or is it you're sitting in the middle, Andy and Kaylee?
Sorry, Kaylee, you go first.
I was just trying to think. I think yes and no. I mean, I think all people struggle with time management, at some point. You can't be perfect. I wouldn't say it was a specific issue, but I think the agency model in itself is extremely complex. There's lots of micro tasks. It is a very, very hard model. You're effectively selling time. You might have products, you might have projects, but that's what it comes down to. So even I think if you don't have problems with time management, run an agency and, it will challenge your time management skills for sure. And there's a lot of, in the agency world, you can always be doing more. There's so many great agencies who do all these awesome things with their culture, do all these awesome things with their CSR, and you think, oh, we want to do that. We want to aspire to that. But at the end of the day, you also have to work on the kind of the basics, the bread and butter stuff as well. So yeah, I think it's probably an endemic sort of challenge amongst all agency owners, I would imagine. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think it is specifically something that agency owners do come up against.
Yeah, without a doubt. No, you're absolutely right. I think when you've got multiple clients who are all vying for attention, they need looking after and nurturing, and sometimes you can't schedule that, you can't plan for that. And that's the difficulty that we have as agency owners is manage expectations and managing our time and the team. It's pretty complex. You're right, absolutely right. It's an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
I found doing this sort of weekly planner and this daily planner really a great thing for me. Sorry?
I remember you shared that with me, and it was brilliant. I thought it was such a good idea, and I've taken bits of that and used it because I remember up in Scotland when we were at an event, you shared that with me, and I thought, wow.
It's I just find it really de-stressing. Knowing I've got 1,000 tasks to do, but actually I'll be doing those, based on the Eat the Frog book, of course. I'll be doing those in a set routine, in a set way, and somehow it just makes the day a bit easier. You can plan things. You know exactly what you're going to be doing anyway. So, and because you ask the question, how important is this task, and what value do you put against that task? So I have certain roles, and what I'm doing at the moment is I actually putting an hourly rate against those roles.
Oh,
and once
the
time ticking over in those roles, I can say, right, okay, so we can now bring someone in to fulfill that, and that will free me up onto the next one.
That's really good.
I think that's really good. I love that.
I'm happy to share that if anyone wants to have a look at it. It's for me, it's an evolving thing. So,
And guys,
no, I think.
Sorry, who holds you? I can't speak. Who holds you guys accountable?
Me. My team. My clients.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people really. I mean, I think, like Andy said, the team, clients, myself, my co-founder, obviously. I think also the community, like in general, like wider, I mean, I don't want to say the world because that sounds stupid, but you know what I mean? Like, going to Agency Collective and the Momentum group, for example, that I'm part of. And just generally, I mean, if you speak to someone, and then 6 months later you have another conversation and you're like, oh my God, I haven't done anything that I said I was going to do or thought I was going to do. I haven't even focused on any of that. that will kind of give you a moment to be like, okay, hang on, what am I really doing here? Am I just being a busy fool? You know, am I actually working towards a strategic goal? Am I actually thinking about that in the way that I organize my time? So I really like Andy's tips about, you know, really blocking out your time. It's almost like seeing life as a Tetris board and being like, okay, how can I slot things in and create a sort of a journey that's going upwards? I love that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So can we just launch the poll? We're just going to ask you guys, who holds you accountable? We hold each other accountable, don't we? We're quite good at that.
Yeah, and obviously I have a call with, we both have a call with Daniel every morning, and you know, he asks us what we're going to do each day and how the previous day's gone, and that I find that really, really useful. And yeah, that call I think sets me up for the day. It's like, well, so what's your plan? And then the next day when you go back, you have the next call, it's like, did you do it? And then it's like, why haven't you done it? And we discuss that. And I find that so useful. It just keeps me on track.
Yeah, it's not micromanagement, is it? It's more like,
no, it's more like it's a check-in,
checks and balances,
and almost kind of just, you know, a bit of motivation really, because you a bit of a G up, you know. It really it's really useful. And then we have a lot of monthly planning and monthly meetings, and we all get our projects, and it's like, you know, we hold each other accountable.
And in terms of projects, it's not enough just to say I've got this idea, is it? We've got to say at what stage which bit will be done.
Yeah,
even sometimes when the idea is so pie in the sky, we don't know, but
we need to have our objectives and
quantify it. What are our goals? What is it we want to get out of it?
Yeah, we always ask the so what question. It's like, so what? Okay, you want to do this campaign, you want to do this thing, but so what? And then the urgent and important scale. It's amazing. It's so simple, but if you just think of that, is it urgent? Is it important? Is it one of the two? It can really help you prioritize. But are you guys fully remote then? So you sort of have that thing where you're talking on the phone a lot rather than always being in the office together?
Yeah. And using the Slack channel.
We all work, so that's really, you know, that we have to hold ourselves accountable quite a bit for that. So yeah, we get together once a week, and that's only for a few hours. The rest of the time is just Slack and yeah, phone calls. That's all we have. We do a lot of Zoom calling.
Because I think that's really interesting, the future of work, because we have a lot of staff who are sort of almost fully remote as well, and how accountability changes when you don't have that, like, you know, physical touch point, so to speak, and you know how you can use technology to overcome that. And you know, sometimes when you have time differences, I've heard of agencies doing like video recordings, so like Slack chats but like recordings, because they're all waking up at different times, but they all start their day with a check-in no matter where they are, but they might have been recorded at 3 a.m. or, you know, the previous day or whatever.
That's really good, actually.
That's cool.
We're going to close the poll now.
Yeah, let's see what everyone reckons. So you guys,
staff.
Yeah,
staff.
That's interesting. 20% non-exec mentor, 20% a peer group, and nobody's using their loved ones.
Which is, I think, leave the work at home, right?
That's a short way.
And leave the work at home, leave the work at work. Yeah, it's a short way to be troubles. Unless you've got a wife that needs, or a husband that, you know, you've got to make sure that your bills are paid. They're probably going to hold you a bit accountable.
Yeah,
that, aren't they?
Yeah.
And families, I guess, like you'll need to provide for your family.
Absolutely.
And the pressures at home as well, needing to get something done so you can get home and have that family time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So, should we just close that poll and then?
Yeah, let's close that now. Off we go.
Crack on. So, what is the best way to be held accountable? For you guys, Andy and Kaylee, what do you reckon?
I think
you hold yourself accountable changed in your experience of running your agency?
I think there's something to be said for face-to-face meetings or phone calls. I think I'm kind of getting a bit like emails and Slack. There's just so much noise going on there. But I think there's something about the sort of human voice and having that conversation. And it's also easier to explain and just sort of like find the right thing to do. through a sort of a conversation. We had a meeting recently where we discovered that the premise of the meeting should change because there was other stuff that hadn't been done, but it's like we had to have the meeting to discover that. And there's no way that a Slack conversation or an email would have been able to unearth that. So I do think that there is something about that. It just really focuses the mind, and you have to be present. And I think presence and accountability really dovetail and work together, because if you're not present, you're not being accountable, and sort of vice versa as well.
I think that's really true. And I think as well, sometimes when you're constantly on Slack or email, the tone can sometimes come across wrong. You don't get things out as how you need to say it. So I think that's really, really important. I also think sort of when you are on a phone call or you are on a video chat, switch off completely. Don't have your laptop open. Don't look at your email. Don't look, and that I find really difficult because I have this thing where I can multitask.
I cannot multitask.
So I have, and they know I'm doing it. They, I'm on my video call, and it will be like Anne's on her email or typing, and I just
see Anne's eyes drop.
But I think I think just having that, being there, being like you just said, being present is really, really important. What about you, Andy? What do you reckon to hold yourself?
Yeah, I think having targets and systems that methods of work that are visible to everybody is a useful thing. If you set some sort of goal of whatever it may be in whatever area that you're working, whether it's sales or marketing or operations or whatever, then if those are visible and you've got systems in place to help you meet those challenges, then that's a good way forward.
Yeah.
I think, and I think the key thing here is not to put too much pressure on yourselves for accountability. There's a sort of a slight stressful feeling, a vibe about that, but there needn't be. I think if you've got systems in place and you are doing steps at a time, it makes it a lot easier to manage. I've noticed in our momentum group, it's really helpful that what we're doing is small accountabilities each month.
Yeah.
And those small steps become a lot easier. It takes the pressure off. And we're all sharing ideas on how we actually meet those and making suggestions to help. So it's incredibly helpful to have that peer group around you. I find it very valuable.
Explain for our listeners what the momentum group is and how it works within the agency collective.
Okay, well, I'm in a group of 6, I think it is 6 agencies. We're all very different, and they all do different things. And we meet once a month online. And we have certain accountabilities. We have a big long list, and we all say each month which ones in that list we're going to achieve. And these are all quite small things. They can be about networking events. They can be going to speaking at gigs, going out meeting clients or prospective clients. And it's just little things like that. And if you are facing challenges achieving those things, you can put it back to the group and say, how did you do this? And what problems did you find? And having that network is fantastic. I can't speak highly enough of it.
Do you think it's made a difference?
Oh, definitely. I'm attending 2 networking events a week. I've doing speaking gigs now. We're making small incremental changes, just lots of small things. The repositioning that we've gone through has been part of that process, or it's slightly started before, but it was greatly assisted by the peer group and advising on the correct way of doing it. And so, yeah, it's great.
Amazing. Do you think that wouldn't have happened otherwise, Andy?
It may have done, but I think it would have taken a lot longer.
Right.
I think when you're accountable, you set yourself a time scale for it. And all of these things help you create the system that's going to help you change. And if you don't have that system in place, then it's going to be just when you can find the time. It's going to be late at night. It's going to be whatever, you find the time. But if you have a system in place where you say, right, I'm going to assign this time for me working on the business, that's it, nothing else is coming into those hours. And it may not be a lot, but when you have a sort of a rigid plan, then it just really helps.
Brilliant. And what about you, Katie? How do you feel the momentum?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, a lot of it, thinking about going off what Andy was saying as well, working with people that you have a lot of respect for, I think is another way to stay really accountable. I mean, I get to interact and talk to some absolutely fantastic agency owners and consultants and business coaches. And, I don't want to sort of, show myself up in front of them as well. So I think that is another thing. And the Momentum Group is kind of the same thing. I'm working with all these great agencies. There's about 4 or 5 of us who regularly attend the calls. And, I'm, very impressed by them and what they're doing. And I just want to contribute. And everyone has so many great ideas. And it's like a really open, very similar to the agency collective events, really. Everyone's so transparent, sharing little hacks and tips. And I think that, that keeps you massively accountable, and just it really focuses the mind. And sometimes we've had some really focused calls. Sometimes something has happened and we've just like been reactive and, reacted to what's in front of us. But I've really stuck with it, and I've had some pretty interesting moments with the calls. I mean, one I had to do sort of by the side of the M25 in a car park because I was somewhere. I was traveling.
Excellent. Is there any specific...
But yeah, no, it's been really good, and it's a nice way, like Andy was saying, the agencies are all different, so you do get to sort of meet agencies, different backgrounds, maybe been going for a little bit longer or have a bigger team, and all sort of like complementary niches as well, so you get to sort of hear what are the pain points for this kind of agency.
Yeah,
amazing. Have there been any specific achievements for you that you've made as a result of the Momentum Group, or tips that you've picked up?
Well, delegation has been really big. So one of my first kind of problems that I shared with the group was I'm just really struggling to delegate, because we haven't been going for that long. So I'm still quite operational. And there were some really awesome tips about, kind of books to read, things to look at. And just basically a lot of the feedback was just go and do it. Just you have to watch people perhaps fail or struggle. And that's just part of it. And it was really empowering to kind of have that permission, and also as well realize that I'm not alone with this challenge, that even after 10-15 years it can still be a thing. So like Andy said, kind of take the pressure off yourself and just realize, do you know what, I'm not perfect, but that's okay. I'm trying, I'm showing up, and that's the main thing. So yeah, for me, delegation, it's been a huge change, like just in my day-to-day life really in the agency since I started focusing on that. So that's what the Momentum Group allows you to really focus on those pain points. Yeah.
We've got one final poll that we need to launch, which is, what's
Cool.
the best way to be held accountable?
Let's launch that now.
So is it from peer support? Is it just pressure on yourself? Or is it social contracts?
I am definitely social contracts. If I say, it's like with exercise, right? If I say I'm going to go running, I'm not going to go running. I just know I'm not going to go running. But if I arrange to meet someone to go running, I'm going to go running, because I don't want to sort of let them down.
That's what happened to me last night. I fell over 10 meters away from my house, which is when social contracts go bad. Peer support. For me, it would be, not wanting to let down my peers, and if we've, I think that's what it would be, and how I'm viewed amongst my peers.
Yeah. I think for me definitely it's social contracts, and I think sometimes pressure. So you need to, you feel the pressure. You need to get things done. It's important, and I mean, I don't work great under pressure, but I know there's quite. I mean, I know Will, who's our community manager. He probably works best under pressure. He's really, really good at just sort of like, I need to get this done. Pressure is pressure. And what's really good about the teams, I think we kind of all know each other and how we work. But yeah, social contracts are, yes, it's currently in the lead though. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think traditionally it's been pressure, which I don't think is the right way about going about it, without a doubt. But yeah, social contracts, I think, would be mine as well, I think.
Yeah, I think social contracts, but it's probably worth saying that social contracts themselves can generate pressure as well, because it's a pressure of, fulfilling that kind of interaction or that kind of social relationship. So yeah, I think it can be a bit of a mix of everything really. But yeah, definitely, I'm a people person, so it's all about, imagine someone's face kind of thing if you haven't done what you said you would, or imagine the impact it's going to have on them.
A little sad face.
Oh, it's
Yeah, a
lovely.
little sad face. And yeah, just like the impact as well. I think it's important to think about your impact. Like, okay, this task might seem a bit annoying, but actually, is it going to enable 10 people to move on, or is it going to enable someone to do something great? So I think that's a big part of social contracts for me as well.
Awesome.
Cool. I think social contracts are sitting
So
at the top of the league.
44%.
Yeah.
Pressure 33%. Peer support
people.
22%.
But it's quite, it's, I think everyone has their way of working. So
Definitely.
yeah,
Different strokes for different.
absolutely. So
Excellent, you guys. Have you got anything else that you'd like to add about sort of accountability as a topic? Any books on time management or tools that you found to be helpful? Particular tasks
In, in terms of books, there's, I guess there's, over time, there's been books that have been really relevant for me at that time, and the E-Myth was one of them.
Yeah.
And it's really quite a book, and it's written in very plain English. It's an American-based book. It's in most people's top 10, and that was a good starting point. And then I read Built to Last and Good to Great, and that was an analysis of how the great brands have survived. And it was research into the reason why, and that was largely down to culture and process. But they were very interesting books, I think, for me, that got things going. Yeah, there's loads of software tools out there where it's something we've not quite got to grips with yet. We're still trialing new things. Been using what we're using now for timesheeting. We've come across a really great tool called Wunderlist, which is dead simple, and it's a lovely look. Quite like that. We've tried Harvest, and that's a really good tool, so we might come back to that one. We use Zoho for our CRM system for the sales funnel. We're trialing Clockify at the moment, so it's not something that actually we've got to grips with yet. We're trying lots of different things. Yeah. Currently, we've got an internal wiki with a lot of our process stuff on there, and we've got a very old help desk system which we're merging out. So we're looking.
Feedback, Andy, when you've tried them all, and let us know what your favourites are. How about you, Kaylee?
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things to be aware of is just like get to know yourself. When do you work best? Do you work, Pomodoro technique is brilliant, working 25-minute spurts and having breaks, like experiment, figure out when it is that you could reach those flow states, and, work your agency and work your work around that. Don't try to fit into a 9-to-5 mold or some sort of mold if that isn't right for you, I think that is very important. And you've got the ability and the freedom to do that as an agency owner. I did personally like Eat the Frogs, or whatever that book is called. That is really good. It's just, really plain, but, well written stuff about, don't just have a random to-do list. I have a Wonder list as well, but don't just have a random to-do list. Have a daily, weekly, monthly, ongoing to-do list. Then on the financial side, I quite like Agencynomics. Not quite always sure how to pronounce that one, but that's really good about sort of growing your agency and looking at the financial side of things and team structure. I do think it is important to read. There's a lot of great things on LinkedIn Pulse. Sometimes you don't need the whole book, you just need an article, snapshot. I find a lot of business books are like quite repetitive as well. So sometimes you can just dip in and get the best bits from the intro or one chapter and the outro. But yeah, we're quite lucky with the systems we have, because we scale quite fast. It has been, we use a lot of automation. and we have like pretty sophisticated like machine learning stuff going on in the background. But you know, it's a constant challenge, right? You know, thinking of, do we get rid of Slack, you know, because it's becoming a little bit, you know, saturated. You know, do we want to keep using Basecamp? Do we want to move from Toggle to Clockify? I just think as part of the agency world, you know, you're always kind of trying to upgrade your SaaS tools and trying to find the best ones. But I think you just have to be brave enough to really look at your agency and be brave enough to make a change, and you know, close off that tool, close off that something, and see what happens. Can people survive without it? Because people just get, I don't know, stuck in a rut, and it might not be, you know, doing for you what it should be doing anymore.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I think it was so useful. I learned some stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much for joining. And thanks so much to you guys for listening.
Thank you.
You're all amazing. For those of you who are non-members, if you're planning to become a member, an agency collective membership will get you access to our events. So we do quarterly events, placed on one of our momentum groups, which Kaylee and Andy have all spoken about today. We'll give you some content, which is basically education. We do Ask Me Anything expert that can't speak today. Ask the Expert Anything sessions. We have an online Slack community, which is, it's absolutely amazing. There's so much knowledge being shared on a daily basis, and you know, it's just basically, we're all about peer support and helping you run a better agency. So
just a nice place to be.
It's just a really lovely place to be. If there's a little deal going on, if anyone wants to join today, if you sign up today, you can have the rest of the month for free. So that's the 1st of June for free. So thank you all very much, guys.
Have a lovely sunny day.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.